thought there's too much busyness around it. Like this image here, I love this flower here, but I don't like all the background. Now, I think I shot this at f11, so it's relatively sharp here in the center. I like what's happening in the background here, but I wish some of these areas here, I don't know, I wish they were more out of focus, or I just don't like them. But I thought, what if I could isolate in on the image? And this is what I did. I've cropped in tight to this image. I'm going to show you how I did this. This is in an 8x10 crop here, which I'm going to upsize to a 16x20 using Gigapixel Ai. But this is all about today how you can take your images, and don't be afraid to crop into your images, because now we have software like Gigapixel Ai where we can upsize our images, and it really opens up a whole new world of image editing for us. So let me show you how I edited this picture today, and I'll show you how I upsize it using Gigapixel Ai from Topaz. So without any further ado, let's get started. I'm starting out here in Lightroom, and I shot this image at ISO 500. I believe it was handheld. It's a 175mm image, so I get a lot of nice compression in the background, so I get a nice soft background here. I went with f11 because I wanted to get as much detail out of the center of this flower as I could here. Okay, and I shot it at 1/400th of a second, handheld. And it is a sharp image, but again, as I said at the opening of the video, it's just, there's just too much here, and I don't like it. So the first thing I'm going to do is give it a crop. So I'm going to crop it, and I'm going to crop it to an 8x10 aspect ratio or a 4x5 aspect ratio. Now the way I like to crop my images is turn my lights out, and that's type the L key twice. And then I'm just going to crop in on this image. I like to shut the lights out so I can actually see the image and how the crop's going to look. Like, see the stem right here? I don't want it, so I'm going to really crop in here, because you know what? I have Gigapixel Ai, so I'm not worrying about this. In times past, I'd have to really be concerned about being able to crop in this tight, but with Gigapixel Ai, not a problem whatsoever. I'm just going to crop in a little bit tighter right here. I think maybe right around here, and I'm just going to put this right in the center, because I think that looks really awesome. I might crop in just a little tighter even here. Trying to get rid of as much of this over here as I can. I'll take care of that later. I'll use a healing brush in Photoshop to get rid of that. But maybe right around here, I think that looks nice. And I think that's going to be my crop. And I'm going to upsize this to a 16x20. So I'm going to go ahead and hit return here. And there's our crop. I'm going to turn my lights back on right now. And this image is relatively sharp. Now I'm going to show you how I'm going to start out here. I'm going to start out with... do the auto settings, because I do like the auto settings with Lightroom. It does a really nice starting point for us, because they use artificial intelligence called Sensei, and it does a really nice job here. So I think I might just open up this exposure a little bit here. Okay, make sure I'm not clipping anywhere. Might pull my whites back a little bit, because there's some nice highlights in here, but I don't want them too light. So I'm going to pull the whites back a little bit. But again, I only use that auto as a starting point, and then I start to make some changes. Now, the saturation and vibrance I think looks pretty good, so I'm going to leave that there. I might just take my highlights and pull those back just a little bit more. Let's check our exposure. Do I want a little more exposure? If anything, just a very little. And make sure we're not clipping. Now, as far as detail here, I'm going to shut my sharpening off. Noise reduction is off. I'm going to leave color noise reduction on. That's just my workflow. And then under lens corrections, I have remove chromatic aberrations enabled and enable profile corrections enabled. That's the only thing I've done to this image. And now I'm just going to right click it and send this into Photoshop. And then we'll get started on the edit here. The first thing I'm going to do is duplicate my background layer, Command or Control J, depending if you're on a Mac or PC, so we can work non-destructively. I'm coming up to Filter, Topaz Labs. I'm going to run Denoise AI on it. Or you could go into Topaz Studio 2 if you didn't have Denoise AI, and run AI Clear from Topaz Studio 2, which is excellent as well. In fact, in Denoise AI, I'm going to run the AI Clear model. I'm going to make sure it's in Auto Detect settings here. And see what we get here, and we can see the before and after, which looks really nice as far as noise, because remember this was shot at ISO 500, and so it didn't have tons of noise, but you can see the noise right in here, but you can see how that noise is gone, and it's definitely sharper here. So there's the before and there's the after. But even right there with the AI clear model, it brings up some sharpening. It chose sharpening high and noise reduction low. So I'm just going to accept that. I'm going to click apply, and that'll bring us into Photoshop. And then I'm going to run Sharpen AI on it just to give it that extra sharpening that I feel it could probably use. So I'm not going to duplicate the background layer because that's redundant. I don't really need to. I usually use one layer for sharpening and denoising, so I'm going to go to Filter and back to Topaz Labs. This time I'm going to pick up Sharpen AI. I mean, I run this on denoise and sharpen on every one of my images. That's part of my workflow. I don't think I could live without these products. They are amazing. Now, a lot of times, if you've watched my videos in the past, you'll see I use Stabilize or Focus, mainly Stabilize, but this image is pretty sharp. And what I'm going to do is put it in the auto mode, and I'm going to leave it in sharpen here, and let's let it render out here and see what we get. Okay, so let me drag this across here. There's the before, which was relatively sharp, and here's the after. There's that little extra sharpness. And look over here on these petals and things like that. Really, really nice. And so I don't think I need to go with Stabilize. Now remember, I cropped really, really tight into this image here. Let's click Apply and send this right back into Photoshop. Now, you notice how quick this is rendering out because I really cropped into this image. There's not tons of pixels here. In fact, I have the ruler up in Photoshop so you can see this is actually a little over 7 by 5 inch type image. It's in a 4 by 5 aspect ratio, by the way. Let's change this to pixels so you can actually see the pixels. So it's around 2500 by roughly 2000 pixels. So it is a small image, but wait till you see what Gigapixel can do to make a nice 16 by 20 print out of this. To me, Gigapixel is a real game changer. It enables me to like really get the crop out of an image that I want, and I don't have to worry. I can upsize it. I mean, I'm going to make a 16 by 20 inch print out of this, but I could make it even larger than that. But that's a typical size that I like to print for myself. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate the background layer, Command or Control J again. And the reason I'm doing this, I'm going to do a little bit of color work inside of Topaz Studio 2. And so I'm going to come up here to Filter and launch Topaz Studio 2. I'm going to use the HSL color tuning filter, which is found right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to work with two different colors here. I'm going to work with pink. So I'm going to click on pink and watch. I'm going to take or actually magenta. I'm going to take this magenta slider and bump it to the right. And you'll notice right in this area right in here, notice how the magenta gets stronger. Now I don't want to go too crazy because it'll look funny, but I just want to bring that up a little bit, add a little bit extra saturation in there, and then I'm going to go to the swatch right next to it, which is purple. Yeah, the purple. And I'm just going to take that purple and drag it to the right and add a little more purple saturation. Now I can go crazy, but that would be too much. I'm just going to add just what I think it needs, and maybe right around there. Now I like to just left click with my mouse here on the canvas, and you can see the before and after, and I think that looks good. Next, what I want to do is add a vignette to this, and I'm going to show you a really cool little trick here for adding a vignette. So let's go ahead and click on vignette, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. First off, I'm going to take the opacity slider and drag it the whole way to the left, shutting off the vignette. See, it's putting a dark vignette around the edges to start out with, so I'm shutting that off, and I'll show you why. Because I'm coming down here to color and clicking on this color swatch here, and the color picker tool comes up, and you'll see a little eyedropper. Now, yours may look different depending if you're on a Windows or Mac machine. These color picker tools could look different. But I'm going to go ahead and click on this color picker tool right here, and I'm going to pick a color. Maybe this color right here, this green right here. And I'm just going to say okay for now, and I'm going to take my opacity and drag it the whole way to the right, and I'm going to pull up the strength here, and what it's doing is just adding that green to the edges there. You see that? Now I might click here, and I might lighten that up a little bit. Yeah, I'm going to lighten that up a little bit. So you can always click on that swatch again, and you got this luminance slider here that you can adjust it. So find the color that you like, and I think maybe right around here. And I'm using this vignette in a little different way here. Yes, I'm adding a vignette. I'm going to click OK. But notice when I click the eyeball here, the before and after, see I'm getting rid of some of the yellows and some of the colors over here from the other flowers. I'm just trying to harmonize this image here. But you see how that helps it. Now, I don't like the fact that it's going over my petals here, but I'll show you how I'm going to take care of that. Let's click on Vignette again. Now, I can come here and adjust the shape and size, but I'm okay with everything, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to come up here to the mask here, and what I'll do next is I'm going to invert this mask, come to the three dots, click Invert, and I'm going to show you a nice little tool in here called the Color tool. So we're going to click on the Color tool. And after we do that, you see this eyedropper. I'll show you how that works in a second. We're going to take the transparency and bump it the whole way to the right. Okay? And what I'm going to do with this little eyedropper tool, you see it right there, I'm going to click this color right here and say only apply it to that color. Alright? And now I'm going to take this range and pull this range in. Now watch, if I would click it on the pink color, watch, it will just apply it to the pink color. You see how it changed? Pretty cool, right? But I only want to apply it to this color right here, to the green colors. Now this range will tell it how far to expand out or in, okay? But I'm going to just expand it out a little bit. See how it's taking it off my petals in here, okay? And then I could take this hue slider here and I could tweak it a little bit if I need to. Maybe somewhere right around there, and pull my range back in. And as I'm pulling the range, I'm not really looking at the range slider, but I'm looking at my image as I'm dragging this range slider. And when it looks the way I like it, which I think right there is good. Now in the center here, now it's putting a little bit on the petals there, a little bit, so I might just tweak this a little bit more. Yeah, I got to pull my range in a little bit more. Something like that. I think that's looking good. Now let's click the eyedropper. Here's the before and here's the after. But see how it just cleans up this image here? And now I'm going to go back to the layer mask here, and I'm going to get a brush and adjust my radius here and make sure I'm getting a black paint, which is already defaulted to black, and my edge aware is turned on. I can shut this off or on. It doesn't really matter in this case. I'm just going to shut it off. Leave my softness at 50, and what I'm going to do here is just simply paint off the center of this flower. I'm going to make sure I'm not throwing any green in here. It's not really hurting it, to be honest with you, but I don't want any of that extra green in there. Okay, like that, and I fixed it. Just like so. Alright, and all I have to do now is click accept, and I'm going to send this right back into Photoshop. All we need to do is a little bit of cleanup, like I'm going to fix this right here. And I might get rid of this little bit of red over here that the vignette didn't kind of pull off the whole way. And let me option click the eye right here in the background layer so we can see where we've come from. So here's the before and here's the after. But you see how that vignette just cleaned everything up on the edges? But look how sharp the center of the image got. Let me zoom in a little bit and look at the center of the image here. When I show you the before, here's the before and here's the after. But look how sharp that is. It's beautiful. I mean, Sharpen AI and Denoise AI, fantastic pieces of software. All right, so let's do that little bit of cleanup. So to do that, I'm going to make sure I'm on my top layer here. I'm going to get a blank layer, and I'm going to get my healing brush. J is the keyboard shortcut for that healing brush. Make sure it's sample all layers is set, because we're working on a pixel layer here, or a pixel layer with nothing on it at this point. A blank pixel layer, I should say. And so what I want to do is make my brush a little bit smaller, and I'm just going to use this healing tool and just get rid of some of this junk here, and just right like that. There's a little bit of a petal showing through. I don't mind it, and there's a couple little maybe pieces of dirt right here. I can say get rid of it. I mean, I am a flower photographer, and I take a lot of time just to clean up my images. Like this little dot here bothers me. I'll get rid of that. And so I figure, why can't we use our editing to make our images better than they already are? So that's good enough. Here's a little dot right here. Let's get rid of that. Okay, and I'll show you how I'll take care of this right here. I'm going to get another blank layer. I've showed you this technique in the past. I'm going to get a brush, B for brush, Make my brush a little smaller, and my flow is already at 5%. Use a very low flow. I'm just going to sample this color right around it right here and make my brush a little smaller. And I'm just going to paint over this pink color right here. Don't worry if you get over the flower petal a little bit. It's okay. And I'm going to resample. I'm just holding my Option key down and resampling here. And I'm just going to paint off there. And see, it's gone. And if I would have painted over my flower any, I could have just added a layer mask and just painted some black paint over the petals and got rid of that. But here, let's click this. Here's the before and here's the after. See, I just painted that and got rid of that. That's a really good little tip. Remember that one. So there we go. Here's my before and here's my after. So I'm really happy with this. Next, I'm going to show you how we upsize it in Gigapixel, and we will be done. Before we upsize this image, we need to save it out, and this is my workflow now. I'm going to right-click the top layer 3, right-click it, and say Flatten Image, or you could leave the layers intact and save it out with all the layers intact if you wanted to. But I'm done with this image, so this is my workflow. Then I'm going to come up here to File and just click on Save, and that'll save it back to the original folder it came from. And you'll see it back in Lightroom here. So I'm going to go over to Lightroom now, and there's the image right there. Now I'm just going to right click the image. Now I have to export it, so I'm going to come down here to Export and click on Export, and I'm going to save it out as the original. Okay, I have my Lightroom set up as TIFF. Everything I do is TIFF because it's a better format than, say, JPEG. But I'm going to leave it as a TIFF file. And right now it's going to export to my hard drive, and I have my Lightroom set up to export to choose folder later. I like that, and I'll show you why, because I just click export, and then Lightroom asks me, hey Dave, where do you want it to go to? Now my file browser opens up, and it's in a subfolder called Original Images under a main folder called Gigapixel Images. Okay, images that I have slated for upsizing. So I'm just going to click open here. And there it is. It's saved. Now I'm going to launch Gigapixel, and we're going to upsize it, and I'll show you how that works. Here we are in Gigapixel AI. I'm just going to click on Open, and your file browser will come on the screen for you here, and you just have to point Gigapixel to where your image is found. In my case, it's found under Original Images in this subfolder here. So I'm going to click on my one image right here. Now I could click on several if I wanted, because remember, Gigapixel can batch process as well, which is really awesome. I'm just going to click Open. The preview on the left is the original image. The preview on the right will be the upsized image. Right now it's set for 2 times upsizing. As you can see, it went from a $24.99 by $19.99 up to a $49.98 by $39.98. So it upsized it 2 times. And remember, I want to make a 16 by 20 inch print. So what I'm going to do is click on width here, and I'm going to click on pixels because I'm going to change this from pixels to inches. And first thing I want to do is change my PPI, or pixels per inch, to 360. The reason I'm using that is because I use an Epson printer, and that's what it likes to use for its pixels per inch. Now I just have to change my maximum width to the size I want to print, which is 20. So I'm going to type in 20 and hit the return key, and it renders it out as a 16 by 20 inch print. Now if you take the pixels, like 7200, and divide it by 360 or whatever PPI you chose, that'll tell you what size of print it will make. Okay, so this will make a 16 by 20 inch print. The face refinement is off, and the select mode is in manual. I'm going to change this to auto because I usually like to use auto. We'll take a look at the preview and see if it looks good. If it does, I'm satisfied. Look over here, you can see some pixelization right in here. Over here you see none. Now we're zoomed at 100%. Now I could click this and change it to zoom 200% if I wanted to. And see the pixelization here, you see none there. That's zoomed into 200%. So it does an incredible job, and believe me, I'll get a perfect 16 by 20 inch print out of this. Out of an image I really had to crop into, which is pretty amazing in my humble opinion. All right, now all I have to do is click on Save, and we have to change some things over here. Or not, depending how this is set up. But what I'm going to do here, image format, if you click on this right now, it's set for TIFF, and I am using a TIFF, but I'm just going to go ahead and click Preserve Source Format, okay? and it'll keep everything just the way it was, or you could change it to any one of these other types of formats here, JPEG or PNG. But I'm going to leave preserve source format on. And then save directory. I have it in a custom directory here. To change that directory, you click change here and your file browser would open up. But you notice mine's going into a, here's the path here, OWC, this is my hard drive. Gigapixel is my folder, and up converted for print is my subfolder. So that's where I want it to go. The color profile, it's set for preserve source profile, which in my case was a pro photo. If I click on here, I could change it to any other profile I want to. Now let's go ahead and click save, and it will start its saving process here. Well, it's finished. It took 1 minute and 30 seconds to make to upsize it to be able to make a 16 by 20 inch print, which is a 7200 pixel by 5759 pixel image. I went ahead and opened this image up in Photoshop just to show you. I have my rulers up. You can see it's a 20 by 16 inch image. And look how beautiful it looks. Now I'll show you the original, which was a 7 by almost 6 inch image right there. But look at the difference. You know, this one looks better. It's clean, it's clear, it's going to make a beautiful 16 by 20 inch print. The power of Gigapixel AI, it's truly amazing. The whole point of this video is just to show you, do not be afraid to crop into your images. You know, if you have an image inside of an image, don't be afraid to crop in. If you have Gigapixel AI, it can upsize it and it'll do great for you, and you can get that print out of it that you really need, and it's truly amazing. So we went from roughly a 7 by 6 inch image up to a 16 by 20. But let me zoom in and look at that detail. Isn't that crazy? You know, it is truly remarkable what Gigapixel AI can do. Well, hey, if you enjoyed this video today, please give it a like and share it with your friends. If you're not yet a subscriber to my channel, please subscribe and click that bell notification icon. And then every time I upload a new tutorial, you'll be notified about it.